Thank you for being with us. We begin today with details on the former NFL player and Hall of Famer O.J. Simpson, who, as many people know, has quite a complicated legal history. In 1994, he was arrested and stood trial for murder, and in 2007, stood trial for 12 charges including armed robbery and kidnapping. This was because he took sports memorabilia from a seller in Las Vegas, which he claimed had stolen from him. Now, as of today, O.J. Simpson was granted parole after 9 years in prison for these charges. Prior to these events, in 1994, Simpson was charged for murder of his ex-wife Nicole Brown and her friend Ron Goldman. The killings took place on June 12th of that year, the night of Brown and Simpson's daughter's dance recital. Both bodies were found mutilated with multiple stab wounds, and O.J. Simpson was the prime suspect. Following the arrest, Simpson pleaded not guilty, where he said he was, quote, absolutely 100% not guilty. However, after the not guilty verdict in 1995, family and eyewitnesses bring up his past abusiveness toward Brown during their marriage, and the manager of the local pizza chain that Brown was last seen alive claims to have witnessed said abuse between Simpson and Brown. Now, this begs the question, who is truly responsible for the murders of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown, and will they be revealed?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Hard-Boiled News, all the news you can fit in the time it takes you to boil an egg. I'm your anchor, former detective Samantha Shovel, and I'm joined by my new co-anchor, Bridget O'Shaughnessy.
Oh, who, me? You can just call me Bridget.
Righto, Bridget, righto. We begin our broadcast with a sober reminder. It was on our air 6 years ago today that our own sports broadcaster, Lewis Erickson, was tragically killed. Much like his final story, the case has never been closed. All we have is the shadow passing in front of the camera. Now on to another terrifying case of grisly murder. Our top story, Corey Richens, who bears a striking resemblance to our own Bridget.
Oh, who, me? I just have one of those faces.
A new autopsy report came back today in the case of Eric Richens of Commerce, Utah. Regular viewers of our fine broadcast will remember Richens. He was found back on March 4th, 2022. His wife, Corey Richens, published a children's book about grief just the day after the anniversary of his death. And the new report claims that Eric Richens had over 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in his system at the time of his death. The dosage must have been forced rather than what was previously believed as accidental. Police have yet to do a thorough search of the house in its entirety. However, we do have Richens' wife, Corey Richens, live in studio. Thank you for joining us and agreeing to give us insight on this terrible tragedy.
It's no problem at all.
Could you tell us how you felt when you first found your husband?
Oh, I was completely distraught. I mean, I could barely speak on the phone when I called 911 when I found him around 3 a.m.
And you're aware that this was likely a premeditated attack. According to phone records, you unplugged and checked your phone multiple times throughout the night of the 3rd.
So I must have. The entire thing is so difficult to deal with. I must have forgotten the timeline of events.
Corey, we're also aware that you took out multiple life insurance policies on Eric and even changed the beneficiary of his $2 million account shortly before his untimely demise.
What are you, some kind of detective?
Actually, yes.
Well, good for you. I thought I was brought in here to talk about my book.
Right. Okay, your book. Are You With Me claims to be a heartwarming and reassuring book that gently guides children through the difficult experience of losing a loved one, written by a loving mother who personally faced this challenge. Reviews have been problematic at best.
Yes, but there have been some positive things. Remember, most people who read my book are struggling with grief. But I will point out one review who said, it'll take your breath away. So good.
That's nice. Although, in the interest of transparency, the entire review reads, this book is killer, so good it will take your breath away, and that it's simply murder. The author clearly knows all about death on a deeply intimate level.
No comment.
Righto. Well, thank you again for joining us. We'll be sure to keep updating the story as it progresses. Let's head over to our entertainment boss, Sydney.
In the spring, both the Writers Guild of America and the Screen Actors Guild authorized a labor strike. SAG-AFTRA demands included general wage increases, protection against the use of actor images through AI, and improvements in health benefits and retirement benefits. Wage increases? You're telling me they want more? What's next, demanding a bonus for a member in lines? You know, I think what's lost in this debate is the side of bosses like head executive Ted Sarandos at Netflix. They're just working to meet the bottom line. The union's main demands focused on the use of AI. AI, that's the future right there. No strikes, no days off, no bathroom breaks. Just press a button and it works. AI isn't stealing jobs, it's making the whole darn operation smoother. All this talk about AI reminded me of a little flick I watched last night called The Creator. It's about a war between man and AI, a special forces agent named Joshua, and the powerful creator of a weapon with the ability to destroy all of humanity. AI is the way of the future. It's efficient and obedient and respects power. I mean, maybe the creator's onto something. Why even stop at actors? AI has it all. Who needs writers or editors or directors or sports presenters? AI sports commentary. Touchdown for technology. You only need one person, the creator, the boss.
Are you dead? Well, I most certainly am not. But if you or a loved one are, you cannot miss out on this to-die-for deal here at Rest Assured Coffins.
These state-of-the-art coffins are normally $13,000, but today they are a mere $666.
Now, 6 feet under, or 6 feet to our left, is the finest coffin that this deal applies to.
In my opinion, this coffin is drop-dead gorgeous. And now, to show you just how fantastic our products are.
Wow, it sure is spacious in here.
If you or a loved one are expected to need our services soon, don't hesitate to call 1-800-CRYPT.
Welcome back to Hard Boiled News.
It appears that we have an update to our previous story.
That's right, Utah mother Corey Richens is being accused of murdering her husband.
Investigators found suspicious searches on her Google history, such as what is considered a non-natural manner of death and luxury prisons for the rich in America.
And what is considered a lethal dose of fentanyl?
Here to defend herself, we have Mrs. Richens herself. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to come on here and defend myself. The evidence against you seems pretty secure, especially about your search history. Those searches are solely due to my curiosities about the investigation. It does not mean I committed the crime. Didn't your own sister-in-law call you desperate, greedy, and extremely manipulative? Yes, but she just wants all of his insurance money. She has selfish motives. Speaking of insurance, according to records, you allegedly purchased 4 separate life insurance policies on your husband that totaled to roughly $2 million. I think we're done here.
Moving on to the economy, the Great Resignation, which was all over the news in previous years, has been continuing to wind down.
For most of this year, companies have, on average, continued with the practice of increased benefits and pay for employees, a practice which was initiated by record rates of resignations during and shortly after the pandemic.
Furthermore, the actual number of resignations nationwide is down by around 400,000 every month as compared to the past few years.
This is yet another sign of the improving economic situation and indicates increased worker satisfaction.
Sorry. Could I just interject for a moment? I have something to say about this story, just a little PSA for anyone looking to quit their jobs. So here it is. Don't quit your job if you're dissatisfied. Instead, look for, shall we say, alternative forms of income.
Alternative income? Oh, yeah, you're the one that wrote that book, didn't you? I can't remember the title.
Ah, yes, it was How to Shoot People, The Life of a Cameraman.
Oh, yeah, that was it. Wait, was it your shadow 6 years ago?
And more than that, if you've got something or someone at your job really annoying you, handle the problem at its source. Don't run away from it. You know, I often talk to my boss about things which I find dissatisfactory at work.
Oh, you do all right.
You, how are you alive?
Oh, I'm his twin, Bluis. I worked in sports too back in the day, but I've since moved on to investigative journalism. That's how I know you're the killer. Just like every other maniac on today's news broadcast, you wrote a book about your crimes. Did you think nobody would notice? I was gonna punish you legally, but not after this. Not after you give a public service announcement on how you killed my brother. This ends today.
Well, that seems to be all we have time for. See you tomorrow on Hard-Boiled News, though I don't know if I'll be seeing you.
Looks like you're cooked.